Last week was great, and if you wanted to get a little more or a recap on that history, I invite you to connect directly with Bob, who's making his way down the stairs from the choir loft, who gave a fabulous 15-minute summary of our 131 years as being a congregation, right? So we have a lot of history. That we're the oldest Lutheran church in New Mexico, yay. And we, like a lot of churches, are kind of struggling with these big buildings, and we've got some stuff in the works. So we're hoping that we come to fruition and a tipping point that we make some decisions on what we're going to do here. So if you want to go back, those videos are on Facebook and YouTube. You could catch that. The first part of it was, it will be a video of a video, but you might be able to Google that video, which was 10 minutes, like U.S. history, Christianity from its inception, an overview in 10 minutes, which was, I thought, kind of fun, captured some of the big moments. So last week was a little bit of history that brought us up to now as St. Paul. And what today is we're hoping to capture, we have a handful of people who are passionate about the ministries that they're involved with. There might be others who didn't sign up, and we welcome your voices too. But before we do that and jump into kind of what we're doing now and holding a space for where we're headed, I think we always have to keep that in our thoughts, in our steps, like when we're thinking about how and where is God calling us in this day. But today, I want us, last week we used these two. I told Alicia, who made these for a council party, I think at Christmas time, were these old-fashioned, do you remember these from school? Do they still do them? You do this little, so we had to do a lesson on how to do it. You take your two fingers and you hold it in between. It makes a little square. And you can move it like this and like this. So the point is, you're going to get hooked up with someone, hopefully someone you don't know very well. You're going to pick a word. I'm going to pick hope, and there are 4 letters in that word. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then that person picks a number that you'll see inside there, and you'll do that accordingly. And then whatever number they pick on the second time, you'll read that question. You can land on the first. You guys can, do what you like. You can figure it out. Well, last week we had some challenges. We forgot how to use these things. So the point is just to get to know your neighbor a little bit. And I know you guys are brand new, so feel free to hook up with some other newbies or those who have been around a while. And we'll do this I know it's hard for those online, I'm sorry, but it's a way for us who are present to get to know one another. So shuffle around as needed. Spouses shouldn't be with spouses or partners. You can if you want. I see that look, Mary, man. Okay, thanks. You pass them out one per person, and if you want to get mixed up, I think, Susan, you'd be great up here too with these new folk. Come on, I'm putting you on the spot. Cool. And sit with someone you don't know a lot. You guys too, as a family. I know it could be a little scary, but we're trying to break that ice. All right, Sig, good job. Good job. All right, breaking the ice a little bit. Everybody have one? And you can do it in 3s if you want. Paul needs somebody. Okay, good job. Here you go. Whoops. Here you go. All right. Okay, you can do 3s too. Susan, we can go too. We can go right here and I'll go with you. Or, here we go. We have to do some more mixing and matching. Let me see. Okay, you guys, everyone. Oh, we need somebody for Walter. Walter, you want to hang with Ivan up there? He's awesome. Hey, Ivan. All right, I'm going to give you a few moments to wrap up your conversation. Sweet. I'll collect those too. Did you? Are you still working? We'll wrap that up. Great, thanks. Put that in your seat. That's all good. It'll come back together. Yep, you got it. Okay. All right. All right. This is like getting conversation. This is great conversation. Thank you. And we'll keep doing things like this because I think we've been longing for it since COVID was so hard on all of us. Communities like this especially that rely on kind of being together. So I know we have a number of people that want to speak, and I had seven topics, 5 people, 7 topics. So Jan, my Jan, and then Jan, were you going to? Okay, well, we'll see how it goes. But I know for sure Mary and Nancy, and raise hands if you were Marty, Sig, great, and Terry. And if there are others, great. Jan, there are microphones. And our goal is to, I'm going to set a timer maybe because I know we can get talkative. Yeah, you're going to have to hold it up. Is it on? Is it on mute? Oh, that's a different one.
Thank you.
Okay, so our goal is to share 2 minutes-ish or question and answer time, just knowing that we have a handful of ministries represented and we don't want to stay all day. Unless we do, then everyone can share. So tell us about one of the ministries that you are involved in and how to get involved.
Well, the ministry I'm speaking about right now is what we call ourselves the visual choir. We help make our worship space more pleasant, and we enhance our worship space. For instance, by making banners and and we're basically just a group of 5 women at this point, and anybody would be welcome to join us. But during COVID, we haven't done much, but we're now gearing up to create a new banner, and it's really fun to be a part of because we try to make these, pretty large size banners. And now that we can get together in person, it's really fun to be a part of. We also make sure that, for instance, these candle carts are something that we would kind of put under our purvey. And let's see, what else? The creativity is just really, it's fun to be a part of. And everybody has different ideas, and usually we come to a consensus on a design, and then we all kind of just put our heads together and create the actual finished product. It's just a fun way to be involved.
And so you pay attention to the liturgical seasons.
Liturgical seasons, exactly, which I should have, of course, brought up. And I beg your pardon? I guess I would consider myself part of worship and music, which is another committee, which I believe Terry will be speaking to. So it's all connected, but I personally mostly take part in choir, and I take part in this visual choir. And of course, I'm a little more involved now with other parts of worship since Christy happens to be my wife, and I just am more involved. So anyway, let's see, what else might I say?
Are there questions?
Does anybody have any questions, or how they might want to be involved, or when are we meeting next, or what we have in mind for our next banner?
What do you have in mind for
Terry, you're a troublemaker. However, so right now we have in mind a grains of wheat banner, which is going to be sort of a basic banner. It's not going to be for any particular season. It's not going to be for, it's going to be white mostly and gold and different colors of fabric, and we don't know exactly. So that's where the creativity process comes in. So that's on our agenda very shortly. We're going to get through Easter and then we're going to get going again. So.
Do you have a next meeting set?
We do not. Our next meeting will be probably the week after Easter, actually. So, yes, Diane.
Something about the crown of thorns that you.
Oh, well, we've made numerous beautiful things over the years, and one of the things that we've made that was a very big hit, actually, was a crown of thorns, which we made out of glass. I do stained glass, so I had all this extra glass, and we put together this crown, which we should probably have it up right now, actually, because it has thorns on it, and it's beautiful, but it's very fragile, and we have too many people kind of using the space right now to have it up and then have to remove it here and there. Maybe that's a reason we don't have it up, but anyway, it's a beautiful thing, and it was very difficult to make, but it's a lovely item, and we usually put it up during Lent, and then on Easter. This is really probably way too much information, but we glued on the thorns to the glass crown, and we were planning to be able to take the thorns off and then put jewels on for Easter, so it's a more festive crown. But however, we used the wrong glue, and now you can't take the thorns off. So it's always the crown of thorns, you know. We can hang jewels from the thorns, and whatever, but anyway, so there's that. And then we've made some really spectacular things, which you'll see, throughout the year, throughout the liturgical season. So stay tuned and come and join us if you're in that creative
So who
space.
all is on your team?
Joe Browning, Jan Crocco, Shirley Nielsen, Karen Bunch, sometimes Kathy Callahan, and myself.
So you would be a good one to contact.
I would be a good one to contact, yeah.
Okay.
So, beg your pardon. Boys are definitely allowed. Absolutely. We just happen to have women on it right now, but you are so welcome.
Well,
He's asking for a friend.
Is that good? Cool. All right, Jen has a concert to get to that I'm hoping to make also later, but she's got to be there. She's got to be there for rehearsal. So anyway, thanks, Jen. All right, who wants to go next? How about let's do Terry, and if you'll start and make that connection with worship and music, were you going to speak to that? And then I think you said Stephen ministry as well. Okay.
Okay, I'm talking first about worship and music. And yeah, visual choir evolved out of worship and music as we were planning. We plan all the worship services. And that just kind of evolved as another aspect besides music is the visual arts as well. So that's how visual choir was born. Worship and music, we meet, first of all, we're meeting this coming Wednesday. Is it 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock? 3 o'clock on Zoom. I mean, if you're interested, just let me know and I'll send the Zoom link out to everybody. So we plan the worship, settings, we coordinate with the music people, just basically, during COVID, we have been just grouping and regrouping, and we had a lot of outdoor worship because we couldn't be in the building, and then we've had, when we started doing communion, that's a big thing. Every meeting now we've been talking about communion. Right after Easter, we're going to start offering communion the old way, kind of. Only it won't be exactly the same way, but where you can come up and get communion. But we realize that our congregation is bigger now that we have all these online people. So we can't just say, okay, now this is how to do communion, you can just watch, kind of thing. So, and we also have gotten feedback that some people prefer staying in and just taking communion in their pew, because the old way, I'll call it, the assisting minister or the pastor had to go to that person and give them communion, and they sometimes felt kind of singled out or on, different. So we're going to have hybrid communion. We're going to continue having it that way. The pastor will commune those online, invite them to do their communion, and those in their seats. And then for people who choose to come up, we'll have that. Now, in order to do that, it's just not just like, okay, we'll do it the old way. We used to have bread bakers, and now we don't. I mean, that ministry is not happening right now. This is one of the things we're going to talk about this week. So if you're interested specifically in communion, come on the Zoom on Wednesday. We need more volunteers, because when you come up, there are two people one giving bread, one giving wine. So, and I got a lot of volunteers who signed up, out on the table out there based on my invitation in the bulletin. So that's great. So also for worship and music, opportunities to get involved besides being on the committee. We have we used to have communion assistants, assisting ministers, lectors, and acolytes. And now we have one person called assisting minister. And you will see Bob was that person today. I mean, they read the lessons. When it's not Lent, they pray the prayers. Sometimes, those prayers, you're invited to write your own or modify the ones, but prayers are sent to you. Let's see, we have about 10 or 12 people who serve in that way, and we're always open to more people doing that. Also, inviting people who do assisting minister to maybe invite someone else to be creative, do a reader's theater, or invite a young person who's just getting used to standing up there, read some of the lessons. So it's always ongoing. But so you could be assisting minister. You could, if you didn't already sign up on my purple paper, you could tell me if you want to help assist. We also, sacristy is part of worship and music. The people who fill the wine glasses, clean up afterwards, set the table. Sharon Hamilton and Diane Reamer-Thamert kind of coordinating that. But if you're a kind of behind the scenes person and you want to get involved, that would be a good way to get involved. Or if you'd like to start the bread baking, I'm guessing that when we start communion coming up front, it'll be with wafers, because we don't have anything else set up. But again, any questions about worship and music? I think I covered everything that worship and music does.
A lot of ways to get involved.
Yeah.
Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
Yeah, don't be. And a lot of things come to worship and music, like that really aren't worship, but like who's going to open the church? Who's going to lock the church? Things like that. It's just...
Coming out of COVID, we're still reinventing some of those things.
But these services coming up for Holy Week, Palm Sunday, Holy Week, and Easter, I mean, a lot of preparation and discussion went into those as to how to do it. We'll be starting out in the labyrinth, and, Pastor Christie already told you what's coming up, but it was fun planning those things. And then, of course, we need people to direct people, like where do you get your palms, so a lot of volunteers make up worship and music. So, and if you have an idea of something else you'd like to do, that we're open to that too. So, any questions? Wednesday, 3:00 at Zoom. Okay, changing hats now. Okay. Here at St. Paul, we have a ministry called Stephen Ministry. We have, six of them? Oh, yeah, come on up. Nancy and I are the Stephen leaders, which means we went to a week of training. After becoming Stephen ministers, which is 50 hours of training, we went to a week of leadership training to become Stephen leaders. So I was so excited when Nancy went, and now I have a partner, because my partners kept moving away, But So, and we have, are there 6 of us? Okay, we have 6 people who are Stephen ministers. We all have care receivers. Stephen Ministry is a lay Christian caring ministry. It's an extension of pastoral ministry. Whatever situation where you may have had the pastor come, a death, a divorce, whatever loss of job, jump in and just grab the mic. But then, as you know, the pastor doesn't see someone like every week and keep doing that. So it's kind of like after the pastor's left and we all have care receivers with various situations. Stephen Ministry is confidential, meaning confidential. We don't refer to our care receivers by name. We just call them our care receivers. Stephen, like you may say, people come to us all the time and say, I think so-and-so needs a Stephen minister. First of all, that person may have a Stephen minister. We're not even the relationship is confidential. Anything said is confidential. Stephen minister's covenant to this confidentiality. When we accept a care receiver, we're starting a relationship, and so we covenant to meet. This is the standard, once a week for about an hour with our care receiver, and then once you're in a caring relationship, that varies. Some people end up texting a lot or communicating by phone, or every other week is good for me. During a time of real crisis, we commit to being there all the time for that person. So we may be, sitting in the hospital with someone. One other aspect, and I'll let you talk about supervision, what it is. Okay,
You're kind of running low on time.
Okay, so Stephen Ministry also, we have supervision, and that is a time for us to support one another in our ministry. We don't focus on what's going on with everybody's care receiver as much as we focus on the caring that we're providing. And so we I'll let you talk.
Okay. Yeah, and supervision, we get together and we talk about if we have issues with a care receiver that we don't know how to handle. If there's something that has come up and we've never seen that before, we bring it out still confidentially, and we see if we can brainstorm a solution to help our care receiver get through whatever they're dealing with. Once again, it's very confidential. We know none of us know where our other care receivers are, so we make sure that that's kept very private. So that's our main goal. And we meet twice a month, the second and fourth Wednesdays.
Awesome.
On Zoom so far at 4:00 in the afternoon. And we also do continuing ed. We do that after we do supervision, we try to do continuing ed. We read books. We have set up, there's lessons and stuff that we can get from Stephen Ministry itself. And we continue to and explore new ways to be better caregivers. Better caregivers. We're also thinking that we want to do a training program, and we want to do that sometime this year. We've modified the training so it's not 50 hours, it could be less. And we're looking for people that would be interested in being caregivers. So if you're interested, contact either Terry or I, and we'll get signed up, and then we'll work on when we can do the care receiving.
Great.
In
So
the classes.
technically, there's 2 ways to get involved. You might want a care provider,
Right.
or you might want to become a caregiver.
Right.
Great.
Yes.
Okay.
My answer to people who say this person needs a care receiver minister is for you to talk to that person about Stephen Ministry.
Absolutely.
And encourage them to do that.
Okay, cool. Thank you. There's so much, information, which is why we're getting names and faces connected. So if you have more questions, get connected with these folks directly.
Okay,
Okay,
I'm going to
switching a
segue
hat.
into, I'll turn my hat.
Another hat.
I'm going to do Friends Feeding Friends. Friends Feeding Friends started in the 1970s, late 1970s. They started at the Anglican Church down next door to Storehouse on Broadway. We moved to St. Martin's, then we moved to Yale, then we moved back to St. Martin's where we are right now. We've served the first Thursday of every month. There's three of us. Hal is one. I'm another group leader. 3 teams, I'm sorry. Hal is a team member, team leader, I'm a team leader, and so is Randy Lynn. We only do every third, every fourth, third. So every third month in my group. So I do February, May, August, and November, and then the other ones, are ahead of me or behind me. I'm talking really fast, I'm sorry. We have, each group has their own different menu, but the menu is always the same. The food is always the same. With COVID, we've had to make adjustments to serving, and they have made adjustments to serving, so we just take the food down there now. We take it down in the morning, they heat it, they get it ready to serve, and they serve it. We have not gone into the volunteering of the serving yet. We wait to hear what St. Martin's decides to do next. And this is for the homeless people. They serve about 200 people a day. So we don't see them. That was always fun part, to go down there and serve, because you got to meet people and you got to see the regulars and you got to kind of build a relationship with them. So it's always nice to, I always get back more than I give. So I wish we could do more serving, but at least we can keep this going. And since it's been going on for such a long time, you can ask for a volunteer. If you want to volunteer, talk to me, because I'm the lead of the group. Or you can talk to Hal if you want to join his group, or to Randy Lynn. But if we need to coordinate to make sure we have enough people to cover each month.
How many people, what's your menu?
My menu is spaghetti, salad, and spaghetti and meat sauce. All the meals have salad, cookies, fruit, and a drink, and bread. So, but the main course is different. Hal's group does spaghetti and lasagna. I just do spaghetti and meat sauce. Randy Lynn does chicken and rice pilaf, and so his is a little different. But pick the menu you like the best, and pick the time you like the best, and we can fit you in.
And there's these metal containers.
The metal pans are in the foyer, in the entryway, on the counter, underneath the bulletin board, and we take them down there. They have our name etched in them, and you can put your food in there, or you can make it in an aluminum pan and take it down. But it has to be brought here to the church, because they don't, right now we have to have a COVID form filled out with your COVID vaccine card copy. Wow. At Project Share, at St. Martin's, to let you go into the building. So I meet people. I'm sure everyone has their own way. You meet people. With the office being open now, we can have food dropped off in the morning, which is great. But it has to be here before 10:30, so we can get it to them by 11, so that they can start getting it prepared. So if you have any questions, just call me, contact me in any way, and we'll go from there.
Great. Next, I think, who do we have? We have Sig, we have Julie. Who else wants to speak? And, we have a lot. We better move along. Okay, Julie. Julie has 2.
Clipboards, and you don't have to do anything to it if you don't want to, but they are for sign-ups for 2 of the committees that I'm representing for St. Paul. The first committee is Visitation Committee. Visitation is a committee that works with our homebound members, and so our facilities, people in facilities who can't make it to church, people who are homebound after surgery, sick, or not able to attend a church. We have 5 on our committee who will go out and give communion, oil blessing, visitation, and we do that once a month. We currently have 18 people that we're visiting this month who cannot attend, and the 5 of us divide those names up. Sometimes it's a phone call, because with COVID, sometimes the facilities shut down. Sometimes the person's not available, so a phone call, a card, coming to visit with them is always remarkable. It's always, Nancy talked about giving back and getting in return. It's always an amazing experience. And they very much appreciate the one-on-one, the attention. They appreciate communion. They appreciate celebrating. They appreciate the recognition. So visitation, we meet once a month. We look at the names on the list. We work very closely with the pastor on who gets names who come in. Names come in from a variety of avenues that come in from the internet even. And so that kind of takes us into our other that all of you are a member of, and you maybe didn't think about it this way, but these committees that we're talking about today, our acts of prayer within church, those are all extravagant ministries given through love, extravagant love from the individuals. And so prayer chain is one of the ministries that all of us are a part of, and we elect to be a part of it in a variety of ways. We have the cards in our pews that if you come to church, you can fill a card out, put it in the offering plate. They don't just disappear. They're picked up on Monday morning, and a prayer chain ministry list is developed for the week and sent out to anybody who's on that list that's moving around. You can put your name. You don't even have to attend a meeting, but if you carry people in prayer through the week, you know, some people print it out, put it in their pocket and carry it with them. Some people put it in a faith book. Some people just lift them in prayer when they receive them on the email. And it's usually first names only. It's often not specifics about what we're praying for, because God knows. But it's all of us coming together as a community to respond to the requests for prayer. God knows the reason. So those are two ministries, but you don't even have to come to a meeting. That's why I like that committee. Anybody have any questions? Okay, I think clipboards are moving around. So.
All right. Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Julie. Okay, so we have Sig, who signed up, and also Marty and Mary. Mary, you're right here. Bring it on. You're wearing multiple hats, too, I think. So which hat?
I'm only going to speak about one hat.
Okay.
And the hat that I'm going to speak about is the asylum seekers who are at our southern border. And many of you know Ruben Garcia from Annunciation House in El Paso. He has been here many times to ask for donations, volunteers. Some of you have visited the border. And first of all, I'll tell you that he is going to be in town on Friday morning at 9 o'clock at Second Presbyterian Church. The reason he's going to be there is because Title 42 is being lifted. And Title 42 was a policy that was enacted during the time of COVID to send everyone, not to allow people over the border. Everyone was to, you probably heard the term, remain in Mexico. And so those folks soon will be able to apply for asylum, as is their right. Anyone in the world can come to our borders and request asylum. So until this was closed down a number of years ago, we had several thousand people come in through Albuquerque, and I worked on the health team for those buses. I worked for both Albuquerque Interfaith and also Catholic Charities. And those folks are in our community at that time for just a few hours. They would be moving on to family and friends in other cities. And one of the reasons we are key to this effort is because of our airport and because of our proximity to the border. The bus that came in last week represented 8 different countries. And now I am reading that Ukrainians are now flying into Mexico City, presenting themselves in Tijuana, and it'll just be soon. They're probably already at the border, at our border here in this state and in El Paso, etc. So those folks will also add to all these other folks who are being released. Ruben has a good communication with the ICE people, and Ruben is meeting with us. We are going to need more and more people to meet the buses. We need people to transport folks to the airport. We need people to deliver food to the doors where people are staying right now in a hotel. Maybe once COVID is lifted, people will have more communal facilities where they can stay for a couple of days until they move on to their families. We also have a travel team if you speak another language. That's very helpful. We've had probably the most difficult time with Haitian Creole. Google doesn't handle Creole. And so, would you believe it? We located a community of over 100 Haitians living here in Albuquerque who have been coming to help us with translation so that we can help these people. We also had a person from Togo in this last bus, a country we've never had before. So they come from all over the world to our borders requesting safety and asylum here. And they move on very quickly. They do not stay in this community. Some of the other needs we have are for donations. People are given toothpaste and toothbrush, et cetera, because at the border, every single thing is taken away. Let's see. My necklace would be gone, my shoes and socks would be gone, and I would get a pair of flip-flops. And I will be given a plastic bag with my papers in with my name, the name of the family I'm going to, and where my appointment is in front of the judge. So that's what they come with. So they need clothing. It's been cold and windy when they've been coming. And we're trying to kind of standardize the clothing so that we're going with sweatsuits, et cetera, and then toothbrushes, toothpaste, deodorant, et cetera. There was a list last week in the bulletin of some of the needs that are needed. One of the buses we got a few weeks ago, we had 18 babies under the age of 1. And they came with nothing, including diapers, blankets. So I put out a call to a few people to see if they would bring things over, and things arrive. So previously it was a group of 5 organizations. We are now down to a group of a few of us who are committed to this effort in our city. But we will expand, and we need to expand. So if you want to know more, if you want to help in any way, please contact me.
Yeah, thank you, Mary. And I know Albuquerque Faith Works, which we are a part of as a congregation, continues to navigate who they are, but they've got 2 branches, and one is mostly dealing with refugees, some asylee, and then also unhoused. So FaithWorks is also great. Lutheran Family Services seems overwhelmed, is what I keep hearing, is that their infrastructure is struggling a bit right now. So, but there are plenty of ways to get involved. Having it completely organized may not be what's there for you. You might have to jump in and just figure out how to get involved. Okay, who else do we have? Sig and Marty, and then Peggy. Okay, Sig, come on up. SIG is a part of a whole network of what makes some of this happen, right? Money is a necessary evil to function in this world.
Contrast to certainly the humanitarian efforts we've been listening to for the last few minutes, not talking about money. Many of us are curious about it, obviously, or want to know more how it functions in the church, and of course the Finance Committee has that responsibility to the council for a number of issues, primarily the ongoing expenses in the budget, as well as the oversight of the endowment funds that are under our care. I was trying to think, listening to the other groups here, what you might want to know about us, right? We have 4 people on the committee right now, and none of them are CPAs or financial managers. They're people interested in just the financial health of the church. So if you were to be considered that's something that you might be interested in supporting in the church, you don't need to be a pro. You just need to be willing to learn and listen. And one of the most rewarding things I've found about being on the Finance Committee is being exposed to the total wealth of personal wealth that is expended on all of the agencies you've just heard about and more. The number of different groups that we support, and we as a collective community, just boggles the mind. And you're hearing a sample of what we've got here, but there are many, many more. And you get to see the underpinnings of it from on the Finance Committee. We meet, usually we've been meeting in person, but we can meet in Zoom, and we're very flexible based on the attendance capability of the individuals that we have. I don't know. Yeah, flexible, and I guess the last thing I would say. Well, any questions about? It's kind of dry, I know, compared to all the wonderful stuff you've heard about before. Then I guess the last thing I would leave you with is, if you're not meddling with the money is not your thing, try to find something among what you've heard here today to be a part of, because we need our continued health of the congregation needs everybody's participation.
Wow, Sig, you just did my last year of my wrap-up of, we'll hold on to those thoughts. That's very eloquently said. Marty. Marty is representing a fairly new, newly recognized ad hoc, and maybe that will become a regular ministry even in our Constitution, so thank you.
Yeah, the Anti-Racism Committee was formed by council this past November 2021. However, in mid-2020, various people from our congregation began reading and discussing books on race in America. I think so far we've had a total of 7 groups doing that by Zoom. And of that, this quote speaks to me, that the opposite of race is not racist, it's anti-racist. And that requires work. Anti-racism is an active state of mind. It's the active process of identifying and opposing racism. The committee's goal for us all is to learn to identify and oppose racism. That doesn't necessarily mean marching in the streets. In its simplest form, it means learning to see with new eyes what is happening around us to people of color. By learning, we can apply it in our own homes and our own lives every day. We welcome your participation and actions as we move forward with this goal in mind. Beginning in May, this committee, together with Faith Formation, will offer an in-person study titled Now is the Time. It's an ELCA-produced study, and Susan will give you some details on that.
So we're going to start our study.
Wait, you're going to have to use that. Everyone thinks they're loud enough, but you're not.
Everybody thinks they're loud enough. Okay, so we're going to urge you to find one of these sheets. I'm happy to hand them out, and sign up and join us in this study. As far as I'm concerned, I'm delighted to have the Synod sponsor this and come out with some really good guidelines. This is a personal endeavor for all of us. It has to be internalized as a personal struggle, I think. That's how we learn, that's how we grow. It's to our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, to all of us, hopefully through our churches and through our communities. I think it's the most important thing we as Americans have to reconcile and get right. We will continue to have more and more people coming to our borders. We need to welcome them with love and commitment and responsibility. So look for these, sign up your friends, come and join us.
Sweet, thanks.
It's a joyous process.
Yeah.
It's a weekly thing, Susan?
It'll be 5 weeks in a row. Well, I think there's one intermission. It's a 2-hour meeting. It's from 5:30 to 7:30 on Thursday evenings.
Very good. Very good, and I think this...
In person.
In person, okay, here, somewhere here. Okay, that's awesome, and I think that piggybacking on that, I'll get you Hal. No, hey, I sent out an email to all property heads and said, let me know, but if we have time, yes. Hold on, wait, and I'll come back to you, but first to Peggy, and then I'll come to you. But I wanted to piggyback on this anti-racism effort. Also includes our Native American land tax, honoring that, and that it's a pretty comprehensive view. But I just wanted to mention that. And Peggy, and then Hal, if you want to speak to property. Okay.
I didn't sign up to do this today because I was supposed to be working with the kids who are ill, and so weren't able to be here. So here I am. I wanted to talk a little bit about our sewing group. We have currently 3 people who do the sewing, but we would like more. We do quilts for adopted families and any other organizations or anyone else who is in need. Right now, we have 25 quilts that are all ready for Christmas for adopted families, and we continue to sew every month. And usually we bring in probably between the 3 of us somewhere around 10 to 12 quilts every month. So if you know of someone who needs a quilt, if you would like to come join us.
Do I have to know how to sew?
No, we will.
Come on, it's an obvious question, right?
Yeah, we will do, and you don't even have to have a sewing machine, because the 3 of us who do most of the sewing as far as putting the quilts together, we have our sewing machines at home. We don't even bring them here. So what we do is tying here, also laying out the quilt tops and the batting and the sheet that goes between the 2. We lay all that out for the people, for those of us who are sewing them at home. Take them home and we sew them at home. So we meet the 3rd Tuesday of every month from 9:30 to about 11:30, somewhere in there. So come. I'm usually the one tying quilts, and Marcia Kearney and Susan Latella are the ones usually laying them out. But if we have more people and we can teach you how to do that, then that's that many more quilts we can get done. So if you know of an organization that could use some quilts, we have had nursing homes in the past, but lately they have said no thank you. And so if you know of anybody, any organization or any individual person, we're happy to share our quilts with them.
Sweet.
They're not full size, I would say they're not huge quilts. They are about the size for like a full-size bed. So they're not anything super big, and we have smaller ones. We even have baby quilts, so keep that in mind. Or if you know of anybody who's had a baby and you think that they could use a quilt, we're willing to share those. So, yes.
How about the 18 babies under the age of 1 that Mary mentioned?
What?
Mary's in touch with
Marcia Kearney and I are.
networking.
I knew that Marcia had been talking to Mary. So.
Good thoughts.
Yeah, we do have some connections here with what we are all doing, like adopted families, that kind of thing. So, but we have a huge stack, and it's getting bigger. And like Susan Latella said the last time we met, she said, I kind of like to keep them moving instead of just being stagnant. So, and piling up. Okay.
Great. Thank you. And true confessions, I still have a quilt that you guys gave to me to send to Hain, our seminarian. And now we have a second seminarian. I will announce that Hannah Peterson has applied and been accepted. So, yeah, so I think she's exploring a lot of different things in that. And so we now have 2 seminarians, which I think is very cool. Let's see, Hal. No, you can't. Come on. I mean, you probably can, but I think everyone thinks that they're loud enough, but look at this. People online can hear you better.
Well, we do have a property committee. We're a little different than the other committees in that we really, really, really want people to join property. And there's one other thing. We strictly adhere to a skill set. You have to be able to change a light bulb. If you can do that, you are welcome. But seriously, you look around, we've got a great facility, but it does need a little care, and we would welcome some more help.
That's awesome. For a huge building, I'm very thankful for all the ministries, but and especially for the property we used to have a full-time maintenance person who kind of managed things. This group is figuring out how to network and manage, and it's all volunteer run, which is amazing. And somebody said, what about these lights up here? John Adolphi, who was here prior, made a scaffolding system that works because this is on a slant and these pews, and there's a scaffolding system apparently. I've not seen it in the works. I don't really want to. But apparently there's all the fixins for that in the back way there. I know there are probably at least dozens more that we haven't mentioned. So let's see if we can just shout out some. What are other ministries? Calico is a big one that we haven't mentioned. Prayer Shawls. Albuquerque Interfaith. Yeah, adult education and education. Now we have just a couple of youth that are starting to do confirmation prep. So that falls under that faith formation and adult and youth. Altar Guild, yes, which I think we call sacristy. It's kind of one and the same. Yeah. Others? Adopted families. Adopted families, that's, if you don't know much about that, it's a really powerful ministry. People donate household goods. Sometimes they get brought here. The other drive-through ministry, which started out of COVID, began with just collecting food, has grown to collecting money and all kinds.
Donations for any.
Yeah, so it's grown to that. So it was just non-perishables for the storehouse, but now it's like come, drive through, give your money. Sometimes that goes a little bit further, food-wise even, to give money to purchase because they can buy it in bulk. But we do that once a month. It's not going to happen in April, and we'll see about May. So that's adopted families. And the other side of that adopted families, when someone calls seeking for like rent assistance, things like that, Kay is also very good about kind of navigating that. We have a Good Samaritan fund that's on the other side of it. If it's an easily vetted person, somebody that you know, or I know, or a pastor knows, or somebody says like this person is in need, could use this. We have a fund. I'm not sure what the balance is on there at the moment, but we can help them out with a temporary need. Other ministries. The video ministry speaks Clark up in the balcony who's running it right now. Yay! And that's a pretty technical one that we invested a lot of money, and thank you. And I understand there's maybe 2 other people who are interested in getting trained up and being a part of the mix. That'd be fantastic. If you're interested in that, I'm looking at our young people here, that you guys might be like fantastic at that. It's a complicated, in my opinion, system of broadcasting kind of thing, but it's great. It's a great ministry that we kind of forget about when we're sitting in here, but we continue to have 70 plus views weekly on Facebook and a handful, like maybe a dozen on YouTube, and it goes throughout the week. Right? So not everyone's with us on Sunday morning per se, but they're with us throughout the week, which I think is fascinating as we think about church happens on Sunday and throughout the week, throughout the world. Yeah, because we have actually some people have been worshiping with us, and her husband works in Saudi Arabia, and Facebook shows a little line going to that Facebook account in Saudi Arabia. I think it's fascinating. right? And when people who come regularly in person and they can't for some reason, they've tuned in online. So it's and funeral ministries, that's become an amazing thing, especially during COVID. Those who can't travel or just can't because they're sick and then they might be in town, they've been able to tune in and be a part of a funeral. So it's huge. Others, anything else? Sunday morning refreshments. There's always opportunity to sign up in that place where you get it. There's a sign up right at the watering hole, literally. Flowers on Sunday. We didn't have flowers during Lent, but that'll start up after Easter, so feel free to sign up.
We're a member of Lutheran Family Services and also FaithWorks, a founding member of that.
Yeah, so we're part of FaithWorks. I mentioned a little bit about that. I'm actually on the clergy advisory board for that, which helps me keep in tune what's going on. Lutheran Family Services. We have an endowment fund that we give to support many of these organizations. So that's a really cool thing. Lutheran Advocacy Ministry, how could we forget that? Kurt is now holds office space, and we're hoping to get our signage updated soon to show that, reflect that. Others? First Tuesday, which is coming up. It's a shameless plug. What's the address?
3401 Candelaria.
3401 Candelaria, and it's grain and grapes? Grapes and grain? Something like that?
Grapes and grain.
It's there's a connection with the member who...
Catch up on the news.
Yeah, so it's an informal watering hole, literally. You can bring soda if you want. They have some limited amounts, different kinds sold there, but also on tap beer and wine, I think, too. Yeah, and you can bring your own snack. It's a fun time. I'm sure there are more, but I think we've exhausted our time together. So the biggest part here is to network and to not be afraid of each other that you don't know, and get to know each other. And we're big people, man. We can figure things out, and when we do it together, we get further. So, as Sig said, if you didn't hear of anything that interests you here, there might be something already going on, or maybe you want to put some leadership to start something. So, one more back here.
Please repeat the date, time, and place that Ruben Garcia will be speaking. Friday morning.
This
coming Friday. Here?
No,
No, at Second Presbyterian. Thank you.
Second Presbyterian.
10. Lomas and Edith. Thank you.
Second Presbyterian.
10, 10.
Oh, 10. Show up at 9. You don't miss anything. All right. Let me offer a quick prayer to send us on our way as we talked about it at the council retreat that we feel like we're kind of a hub and then we all go 1,000 ways from Sunday, literally. So, yeah, we pray. The Lord be with you. Gracious God, thank you for this time together. Thank you for your presence in and through our hearts and through our hands as we reach out and dig into the needs in this community. Strengthen us when we feel a little low. Give us insight when we're not sure the direction. And help us to lean on each other as we navigate and figure things out. In your Son's name we pray. Amen. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord.